Hey guys, we're here for another reaction video. So before I start, just let me know in the comments if you want me to react to anything, and I will try and do that. So I could use some suggestions if you want. But for this video, I'm going to be reacting to the new mapping format called ID24. The new mapping format slash feature set, mapping standard, whatever you want to call it. So this was released very recently in, here we go right here, the re-release of Doom 1 and Doom 2. I don't even know. Was it Bethesda who did it? Was it id Software? Was it Night Dive? I have no idea. There's so many different companies involved with it. You can see down here, 3 of them. This is on Steam. Apparently it was released like a month ago, I guess. And you can play this on consoles. You can play it on the computer. You can play it probably other ways. Are there any other ways you can play it? I don't even know. But it comes, with Doom and Doom 2. And it also comes with a new... What does it new? Legacy of Rust right here. That was very timely. Legacy of Rust is a new... It also comes with a bunch of other stuff. But Legacy of Rust was built specifically for this re-release of Doom 1 and Doom 2. It's a new episode. And that is where the ID24 mapping format comes into play. Because that episode it's in ID24 format. Whereas Doom and Doom 2 they're just in Doom format, regular old Doom format. Some of these same with Evolution, Plutonia, Master levels as well. Sigil, I have no idea. No Rest for Living, I have no idea. I feel like they're limit removing. Probably limit removing. They're probably not Boom compatible. But honestly, I don't know. I haven't played those games. And I don't know what this is. But anyway, there's quite some controversy over the ID24 mapping standard. So over on the various Doom forums, and well, specifically Doom World, like there was a 22-page thread regarding it, where people were complaining about it. It's turned into quite the topic. I was pretty indifferent to it because whenever Doom is re-released, I don't care because I have the game already. I bought it in the 90s. I still have the DVD or the CD, I should say, from the 90s. I never ended up buying it on floppy disk. That was a little bit ahead of my time. I mean, I used floppy disk, but in terms of buying Doom, when I went to buy it, I was able to obtain a CD. And so whenever it's re-released, I'm sort of indifferent to it. But I do read the threads on Doom World, and this one turned quite heated, and there was quite a bit of controversy to it. So by the way, ID24, I'll just tell you what it is. I'll give you the little synopsis of it. ID24's specification and standards specifically aimed at mod authors and mods in general. It builds on top of the possibilities shown in the MBF21 standard, acting as a superset of it, and was first implemented in the Kex engine source port of Doom plus Doom 2. It was first used there for the Legacy of Rust episode. So Kex engine source port, I don't know what the hell that is. Apparently that's, you use the Kex source port apparently for if you want to play it on the console. And I think you can also use it on the computer. I honestly don't know. I've never played Doom on a console before. I mean, I do own it on Super Nintendo, but I literally just loaded up the first level and it looked horrible and it played like shit. So I never even continued with it because it was so bad. I mean, that's just good because trying to play Doom on a Super Nintendo is pretty hard anyway. So I mean, it played better on the computer. So why not just play it on the computer? I also did buy Doom 64 on N64, but that's a different game entirely. It's got new monsters and I feel like maybe even new weapons. I don't know. I didn't even play the first level for that either. I just loaded it and it was all different, so I never even bothered playing it. But I do have some consoles. I think, I have a Super Nintendo over there under my little table there. It's a PAL version as well, which is from Europe, the European version. It's kind of funny. I bought that specifically for Super Nintendo, for Super Mario Kart, I should say. So I could, because the Super Mario Kart, the PAL version of the PAL and NTSC versions of Super Mario Kart are different in terms of the timer and a couple other things. And I was big into playing Super Mario Kart competitively, so I ended up getting both versions. And I didn't end up doing very much in PAL because I couldn't get used to it. But anyway, like the newest console I have is, I think, PlayStation 2. Now, I believe I might, in the back in my closet there, I might have one of the Xboxes. It's not the first Xbox. Well, I do have a first Xbox in there, but it's the one I'm talking about. What the hell is it called? I think it's an Xbox 360. It's for whatever Grand Theft Auto 4 came out on. Now, I've never actually played it, Grand Theft Auto 4, or the Xbox in general. Well, okay, I did play the Xbox, but I was playing the PS2 version of... Sorry, the original Xbox version of Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I played that on the Xbox 360 for some reason. And by the way, it was horrible with the joystick. It was so hard to aim. But what am I saying? So yeah, I don't even know if you could hook that into the internet. Xbox 360. Can you? I don't know. I never tried it. So what was the point of this? I think the point of it is I haven't played Doom on one of these newfangled consoles that you can connect to the internet, you can play co-op and stuff, and so apparently with this new re-release, you can also upload WADs to some database, and then people with consoles can like load the WAD and play it, which is really cool actually for people on consoles, because they were sort of stuck with just the original games, and now people can upload them. And so there's going to be like, how many Doom mods are there out there? There's thousands. And levels, there's just tens of thousands. So that's pretty cool, even though there's a lot of problems with the uploader. There's a lot of problems with the uploader, but that's another story. And so I'm not going to be talking about this re-release of Doom 1 and Doom 2. I'm specifically going to be focusing on the ID24 mapping format. So if you want to watch a video dedicated to the re-release, I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there. I don't know if any of them talk about ID24. There probably are, but so I'm going to talk about that. Now, so the controversies arose? What is the proper English here? So the controversies happened. So normally with a mapping format or a mapping standard, they're implemented into source ports. So people who are maintaining source ports, they're still maintained even to this day. I mean, the Doom community is still very active, even 30 years later. And so normally when people make these new mapping formats, there's like a discussion on, a public discussion probably on Doomworld or somewhere. Either multiple source port authors will talk to each other, or they'll do it publicly on a forum. And that's to ensure that that the most compatibility can be achieved between various source ports, because each source port sort of has a different goal, different features and whatnot. And if someone just comes up with a new mapping standard, it doesn't mean you can just copy and paste that code into everyone's source port and it'll work, because they all do different things. And so usually when a new mapping format is developed, they'll talk to each other and to determine the best way of implementing it, so that it works the best overall. All of the source ports that want to implement it. Now, in terms of ID24, there was no discussion at all. It was developed secretly. I guess secretly is the right word, because they weren't allowed to talk about it. So because it was being added to this commercial product. Did I just say product? I think I wanted to say project, but I wanted to say product. And so the controversy is, because there was no discussion, all of a sudden this re-release was released, and then there was a forum post on Doomworld that said ID24 new mapping feature, new mapping standard, and then shit sort of hit the fan because there was no discussion. Source port authors had no say in the matter and how it was developed, and so they're sort of left in the dark. And now they're sort of they feel like they have to add it to their source port because ID24 is an official mapping format now. It's an official feature set, so they probably feel some pressure to add it to their ports if possible. However, here's where the controversy happens, because probably the most popular source port is GZDoom. I'm assuming, I don't even know if that's true, but I feel like that's true. And so GraphSol is apparently the developer for GZDoom. So ZDoom came out in 1997 or 98, I believe. And it's been developed ever since then. Now, ZDoom itself ended in several years ago. But GZDoom started, I don't know when GZDoom started. GZDoom is basically ZDoom, at least at the time. It was the same as ZDoom. It had the same features and all that, but it used like the hardware renderer as opposed to the software renderer. And I don't know when GraphSol started that version. I don't even know if he started it, but I don't know how long GZDoom has been going for, but I feel like that's the most popular source port. But anyway, he posted on it. He said, because there is an obligatory Legacy of Rust Night Dive Doom port thread, and so everyone was wondering, are these source ports going to be implementing this new standard, this new feature set? And they were waiting on the source port authors to weigh in. And so the most popular source port, GZDoom. So GraphSol says that was some unpleasant surprise, having just come back from a 1 week vacation. For me, the entire spec dies with its deep roots in dehacked mess. It's like taking the worst parts of DSD hacked and building some convoluted setup around them to allow new extensions. This will be a nightmare to support for virtually everybody, and I find it very telling that aside from CraftLab, no other developer has posted their opinion on the Doomworld thread yet. Another thing that's just dumb for a supposedly forward-looking spec is the dependency on some of Boom's worst features, namely color map and tran map, instead of going the extra route and implementing both features properly. The remaining parts look fine, albeit far from groundbreaking. Nothing there that is impossible, but also little there that's of any use, but it will require a lot of groundwork by any interested port to support the ancillary features not directly related to actual mapping. What I do see, though, is the risk that some ports may jump ship for good because they have no good means to implement this spec, just like Kate Vavoom did with MBF21. Okay, so apparently, I think Kate Vavoom didn't implement MBF21. So that was the problem, because GraphSol didn't have any say into how ID24 was developed. The way it was implemented or developed or released, it makes it really hard to implement back into GZDoom. So GZDoom and ZDoom, they're pretty far away from the original Doom, like how the original Doom functions. A lot of it was changed in order to make it easier to, I guess, to code for or whatever. I'm not a programmer, but a lot of stuff was changed, and so just adding stuff into it isn't really easy. Stuff like this, like stuff that is that might be compatible with a classic port like DSDA Doom. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work in this, because this is quite different than that. So, and like GraphSol says, it's not a trivial thing just to add the new code from ID24 and add it to GZDoom. And so I feel like by this, he doesn't plan on doing that at all. And then on the classic port side, I feel like, I don't know if this is true either, but DSDA Doom is one of the most popular classic Doom ports. So DSDA Doom is, I believe it's a fork from PR Boom Plus. PR Boom Plus is a fork from PR Boom. Now, I don't know when PR Boom started. I don't even know if it's still maintained, PR Boom, but PR Boom Plus ended several years ago, and I think DSDA Doom picked up where PR Boom Plus left off. And so the big draw for PR Boom Plus is its compatibility with different mapping formats and different feature sets. It is Doom compatible, it's Boom compatible, MBF. It has a whole bunch of comp levels, so compatibility levels. So you basically just change a number in the config file, and it will alter how the game behaves based on what compatibility level you're set to. And it behaves exactly like the original format you're trying to play, at least in terms of not necessarily how it looks, but in terms of how it plays. So if you set it to let's say comp level 9, that's Boom compatibility. So that's compatible with Boom version 2.02, and so that's what people usually do if they want to record a demo in comp level 9. And so the ultimate goal of DSDA Doom is demo compatibility. So if you want to add new things to DSDA Doom, that's fine, but it can't compromise the demo compatibility. So demos have to remain synced up. And so that is its ultimate goal. And so DSDA Dev responded to this topic. This is the 22-page topic. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole topic because it's 22 pages. So obviously, I'm not going to go through it all. But 22 pages. And actually, there were a bunch of posts got deleted. Some posts got split off into new threads. And then there was another another thread called ID24, and then it's like an updated thread. But so let's try and find out. There he is right here. So DSDA Dev says in response to this thread, as this is a spec put forth by a GPL launderer and organized by people with financial incentives, it's impossible for it to be a community effort or even to have an unbiased discussion about it. Half the people chiming in are earning a paycheck. Future discussion or iteration is hopelessly muddled now, as the financial ramifications of all the details of any spec will weigh into the minds of the people trying to drive the topic. I think it's a terrible precedent in the presentation of it, like it's what's best for everyone. And sorry, I'm having trouble reading. And as if it had community input is complete sophistry. I don't know what that is, but apparently that means nonsense. I don't even know if I said it right. I don't think I've ever seen that word before. You can tell I'm not much of a reader. This appears to simply be an effort by a company poised to profit off of control of the standards to take that control and serve themselves. It's capitalism and the cashing in of decades of community clout. I'm sure everyone had the best intentions, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to make a living. But if this is the future, then I'll probably find another hobby. So this was sort of a common sentiment with adding like a new mapping format to this, because new mapping formats was part of the modding community, the free modding community that's been around since Doom was released, so like over 30 years. And now it got added to now it's sort of been incorporated into a commercial product. I just said product again. A commercial product. And so people take issue with that. And this guy takes issue with that as well. And so he calls him a GPL launderer. So GPL, I know that's a license, a type of license. Now, I don't really understand. So ID24, it actually has several layers of compatibility. It's got like the original Doom compatibility. It has Boom compatibility. It has MBF compatibility. It has MBF21 compatibility, and it has ID24 compatibility. But apparently, so if we go to right here, so I'm just going to read this real quick. Okay, so it says initially under development in Rum and Raisin Doom. I haven't heard of that before until this re-release was released. Under the name R&R24, Doom plus Doom 2 licensed the code and renamed it to ID24. So the re-release licensed the code from this source port. And this source port was made by Gooberman, Ethan Watson, who apparently he's in the the gaming industry. I don't know in what capacity, but he's worked on, he's a professional gaming person. Not gamer. He's a programmer. What was I saying here? So yeah, I don't know who licensed it. Was it id Software? Was it Bethesda? I don't know. But like, did they pay him for the code? I don't know. But so DSDA dev calls him a GPL launderer. But I'm just not sure how this works out. So if you go back to the ID24 page, it says neither the specification nor Doom plus Doom 2 at release are fully compatible with Doom and MBF21 standards. This is due to it being a clean room re-implementation. Okay, and so apparently a clean room re-implementation is basically someone reverse engineers the source code without actually looking at it and sort of makes a copy of it, sort of copies what the source code does. And so because they didn't actually use Boom and MBF21 source code, it was like recreated or something. That's what makes me like, why did they do that? I don't know. Was it because of money or some sort of license? Was it a licensing issue or what? And so, I don't know. There's some sort of controversy here that I'm not fully aware of because this is like a bunch of nerds arguing. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just, this is like over my head, this sort of programming licensing stuff. But anyway, based on this post, actually, DSDA dev got banned. So he was able to make several other posts. And so when was this? This was August 12th. And then 2 days later, on August 14th, I don't know exactly when, but Craft Lab, this is Craft Lab, by the way, DSDA dev, he was banned. So if we look at this, I'm not going to read this this guy's a mod, by the way. So it says, all right, now that the dust is settled, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll just go to the next one, next paragraph. Because of this, after everyone has had more than enough time to speak up their minds, I've decided to take action. Craft Lab, aka DSDA dev, has been banned from this forum. His personal attack towards Gooberman, that is the GPL launderer comment, was uncalled for. His blackmailing insinuations towards SL14 were downright creepy. I think that was blown out of proportion as well. Now, I'm not going to find the post, but it was very, I mean, it didn't seem like blackmail. But if you sort of, if you knock horns with SL14, you're doomed, because she's probably the biggest mod on Doomworld. She's been a mod since I don't know how long, but a long ass time. So, if you get on her bad side, or if you say anything bad about trans people, or even if you just disagree with the trans ideology, you'll get banned. Especially if you're new. But if you, I think you'll have a longer leash if you've been on the forum for a while. But yeah. She's definitely in a mood. In a mood. Now, okay, the reason I said that is because just earlier today in the afternoon, I was watching Jim Gaffigan videos, stand-up videos, and he was talking about how his wife wants him to do everything she says. And if he doesn't want to do something, then his wife says, "Oh, Jim's in a mood." And then he's saying that whenever she says that he's in a mood, she'll just tell other people that, "Oh, he's in a mood." Like, for example, the FedEx guy. So she'll look at the FedEx guy and she'll be like, "Oh, Jim's in a mood." And so that's what made me think of saying that for SO14. Also, someone else got banned, someone named Kinsey. So Kinsey, I won't mince words. He made some of the most hollow, inflammatory posts in the thread and contributed significantly to the rising temperature. Now, okay, all of this was completely blown out of proportion, as usual for Doom World. You're not allowed to post anymore. I mean, this was all completely... Like, I read this entire thread, all 22 pages. Even though I don't really care about the re-release, or like, I'm not interested, and this licensing stuff is over my head. While it was happening, I was reading it, and there was absolutely no reason to ban Craft Lab. I feel like because he has one of the most popular source ports, and he was showing like dissent. He wasn't sort of just accepting this new standard, and they decided, well, okay, we'll just ban you. So that's the vibe that Doom World puts out these days, especially over the last several years. If you're not with us, you're against us. That's basically the philosophy behind Doom World and sort of a lot of society in general now. And so DSDA Dev got banned, honestly, for no reason. I think DSDA Doom is still in development. Okay, we're just going to go to the source ports section. Let's go to the source ports section because I feel like it was updated recently. 8.10, is that? No, that's not recent at all. Well, I guess no one can edit the thread anymore because the guy's banned. Yeah, it was recently updated. Yeah. Okay, so I guess he's still developing the his source port. Yeah, so I mean, all this source port stuff, like, I don't understand programmers a lot because, like, in all these new mapping standards and stuff, I don't really get it. So I mean, we'll talk about the mapping formats and the evolution. So obviously the first mapping format is like the regular Doom format, and so a map format is basically how you build your map, how the game reads your map. And so if you were in Doom Builder, we're going to start to make a new map. You would go to New Map, and you can choose your configuration. So we'll just go to Doom 2 and whatever. And then, so now if you do something, you make a sector, then you can click on the lines, and then you have a bunch of line def actions, right? And so the kind of line def actions will change depending on what kind of map format you use. And there's also sector effects, like if you click on this, and you can change the sector effect to a various number. And then also if you want to add things, different things based on different map formats as well, and all that sort of stuff. And so the first one was Doom, and then once the Doom source code was released, I believe, was it 1997 or was it earlier than that? Anyway, it was released, and then so that's when source ports started popping up, and Boom was one of the earliest source ports. And then Boom format was basically how the Boom source port acted. And so this was in Boom format was a huge jump from regular Doom format because for various reasons. And then MBF showed up shortly after that, sort of based on Boom, and then you get into your Hexen map format. I don't know when this was implemented, but in Hexen format, you have more line def actions, you have other things that you can add, not weapons or monsters or anything like that, but editor things, stuff like actor enters sector. So you can trigger actions if the player goes inside the sector, if the player touches the floor. So there's a whole bunch of different cool different things that are editor things that you can do in order to change your map and do that. And then Doom 64 map format, I'm going to ignore that. And then Universal Doom map format. This is UDMF. So this was this came out in 2008 apparently. But every map format had like a really big updates for each map format until you get to the later years, because now I feel like, you know, the source port authors have sort of pushed the bar pretty high, and they've done a lot, and then what's left now is sort of just random what can I do things that aren't necessarily really interesting, but like if people would actually use them or not, but it's just things that they could do. That's the vibe I get these days. Now UDMF, I still haven't even tried UDMF format. It's similar to Hexen format, but so we'll start on ID24. So ID24 builds on top of the possibilities shown in the MBF21 standards. So we'll go to MBF21. And MBF21 is specification and standards specifically aimed at mod authors and mods in general. It builds on top of the possibilities shown in the Boom and MBF source ports. So let's go to MBF. MBF is a source port created by Lee Kiloff in 1998 after he left the Boom team. It is regarded by some as Boom's successor. Okay, so let's go to Boom. So this was Boom is a source port created by Team TNT. The design goals of the Boom project were were to create a source port of professional quality, fix bugs, and remove limitations of Vanilla Doom, and add extra editing features while keeping the same feel and spirit of the original Doom engine. The final version of Boom was released. Okay, yeah. So this, it does definitely achieve what it set out to achieve. So we'll look at the new features of Boom. So it's removal of engine limits and bugs. So in the original Doom, you know, there are a bunch of limits, some of them being very severe. So if you have like a big open area in your map with a lot of sectors, a lot of lines, then it's very easy to crash the game with, I forget what kind of but there's a type of overflow. If there's just too much stuff in view at one time, your game will crash. So you really have to sort of minimize the type of architecture you use and the detailing you do. But with Boom, it removed not the entire limit, but it significantly raised the limit. Viz plane limit, okay, Tutti Frutti, and Medusa effects, the save game size limit. Oh, okay, so apparently in the original Doom, if the level was too big, you wouldn't be able to save the game. I think it crashed. The Venetian Blind crashed and many others. Optimizations to the engine. New editing features, these include configurable animated and switch textures. This is, I don't know if this is really, because configurable. So that's the thing. Back in the original Doom, it wasn't configurable. So if you wanted to add new animated textures or switch textures or a new animated flat, you had to basically replace one of the original ones. So if you wanted to change, if you want a new switch texture, you had to overwrite one of the original switch textures because those act as switches. Those are special textures that act as switches. Same with the animated ones. But in Boom, you're able to have this some sort of file that you can add into your as a lump into your map with that has data in it. But it's sort of a convoluted way to create these files. at least in my opinion. I mean, I've tried this several times. I was able to get it work, but it's kind of convoluted and sort of tricky. It's not very straightforward. But, you know, it was possible. So then we have deep water effects. I guess that was pretty cool back in the day. I feel like you probably could have... No. I mean, no, you couldn't have really done that. I'm just trying to think of if you could fake it, if it was still possible in regular Doom format. So deep water, I mean, you can hack up deep water in the original Doom. But it sort of glitches out visually if you get too deep. But one of the cool things about deep water is you can go under the water. You can go in and under the water, and you can see, like, if you're in the water, you can see the top of the water, and you can see the floor, and then you can, like, get out of the water, and then you can see basically the top water as a floor instead of a ceiling. So it is pretty cool. Scrolling walls, scrolling floors, and ceilings, including support for conveyor belts. Conveyor belts are, they're definitely they're a handy feature for sure. I've made a lot of boom maps in my day, and I try and avoid using conveyor belts. I mean, they are very handy, but I don't like using them for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like it's possible to get around that by not using them. Now, you can set up like scripts with conveyor belts, but you can also sort of set up scripts in other ways in regular Doom. If you want to stack line defs, walkover line defs, that's possible. So I'd rather do that as opposed to using conveyor belts. But I have used conveyor belts before, and they are very handy. So, I mean, it is a good feature. Translucent walls and sprites, that's just... Oh, the sprites thing, I fucking hate that. Oh, my God. Translucent sprites. I don't like that. It's kind of funny. I don't even think I really noticed that until, several years ago. But I didn't notice it for a while, or at least it didn't bother me. But then someone posted a thread about it on Doomworld, and I noticed it, and then I noticed that when I would change the compatibility setting from Boom compatibility to regular Doom compatibility, like if you're looking at a monster fireball, they're slightly translucent in Boom compatibility, and I don't like that. I don't know why they did that. It makes no sense to me. But anyway, they did that. Friction effects such as mud and ice. I've literally never used these before. Custom color maps, which can provide, for example, an underwater blue tint. I guess that's for for deep water. I've never used this either. Silent teleporters, I don't like those, which can be useful for fake room over room effects. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's a legitimate use for them, but I don't like silent teleporters. Elevators, which move the floor and ceiling of a sector together. That's a pretty cool idea, actually. I've never used this feature, but because normally in Doom and Boom, so you can move sectors, whether it's a door or a lift or an elevator or something like that, a floor that raises or lowers. Normally, you can only trigger the ceiling or the floor at once. Like, you can't do them both at the same time. But this elevator function apparently moves both of them at the same time. So that's a cool feature. I mean, I've seen elevators before in Boom maps. I haven't used them myself, but I've seen elevators, and this is a legitimate function for a feature for elevators. Now, the biggest thing about Boom is why it's so good, and why it is such a big improvement. I mean, it is an improvement, but it's just such a big update compared with the original Doom format. Is the generic line def types. A particular line def behavior can be calculated using a separate line def calculator program called Trig Calc. Okay, so I'll show you what that means. So if I were to go to Doom Builder, I'll start a new map here, and we'll do it in Boom format. So if you remember what Doom 2 format looked like. Okay, so let's make another sector. And we'll click on a line def. So if we go to our line def action again, we do have more line def actions in Boom format, I should say. It might not be immediately noticeable, but there are wind current. This did not exist in Doom format. Wind did not exist. Translucent did not exist. Transfer did not exist. And friction did not exist. And even in these individual ones, there's new numbers as well for boom. But I mean, what we're talking about, the generalized, generic line def types, this thing right here, this is amazing. So you can select the category: floor, ceiling, door, lock door, lift, stairs, crusher. So you choose what you want to affect. And so floor, and then you can choose each thing by itself. So that's amazing. So normally, like in Doom format, you want to affect a sector. You want to trigger a sector. You only have specific actions that you can use that move only at a specific speed, and you can't pick and choose what you want. Well, you can't pick and choose, but there's only so many picking and choosing options that you can use. I mean, there's more in Boom, but with the generalized line defs, you can literally pick every single thing about it, how you want it to function. And so that's the best part. You really have control over your map. And that's what I love the most about using Boom, is you can pick exactly what you want. Now, apparently, let's see what it says here. It says a particular line def behavior can be calculated. That's what I wanted to say. Can be calculated using separate line def calculator program called Trig Calc. Okay, so maybe before the days of Doom Builder, if you wanted to make a Boom map, you would get this Trig Calc program, and then you would type in how you wanted your your floor to function, and it would put a number here, and then you would put this number right here, because this isn't a normal number. Like, this is a really big number. So I didn't know that. I've never actually used that Trig Calc program. And then a dehacked extension standard .bex. So this is actually pretty handy as well. Dehacked in the original Doom format, it's kind of limited because, okay, I'm going to open Whacked here. I'm glad I remembered that. I wasn't, because I have a little text file in the bottom right-hand corner where my face is. You can't see it. I don't see my face on the screen, but the text file is underneath my camera here. And so I have a sort of a list of stuff here that I want to talk about. And, okay, we'll go to new, we'll go to Boom. Yes, Boom, because this is a Bex file. And then we'll click Doom 2. But I'm glad I didn't have this written down. I didn't have Whacked written down, so I'm glad I'm in here. Let's go to Doom 2, and we'll go to OK. All right, so if you want to change like one of the states, so in the original Doom format, if you want to make a dehacked file, you're limited in the sense that if you want to make like a new monster or a new weapon or something, so in the action column right here, you can see it has an action to it, and so you can only use actions on. So what is this? This is a state. Okay. So you can only use, in the original Doom format, for dehacked, you can only use actions on states that already have actions. So if I'm making, and so before I was talking about this, so there's this state table right here of almost 1,000 states, right? And in dehacked, you are sort of, you can only use all of these states. You can't add new ones. So if you want to add, if you want to make a new monster or a new weapon or something, you have to overwrite one of these original states. And so if you're doing if you're making a new monster, they have actions. So if scream, that means we'll go to an actual monster. So here's your cyber demon. So right here, it's chasing you. So that is that action. Metal, I think that just plays a sound. Face target, that's another action. Paint, cyber attack, that's when it shoots its rocket. Cyber attack. Scream, that's when it screams and dies, I believe. And fall, this is when it's sort of, yeah, and then boss death. But if you want to make new monsters and you want to add new actions, you can only use actions on states that already have an action. You can't put an action like right here, for example, because there's no action here. And so because of the limited amount of states, it can be tricky to make new monsters, because you sort of, you have to find not only new states that you want to overwrite, not new states, but you have to overwrite certain states, but you also need to overwrite states that have actions on them. And so that was one of the limitations with the original Doom format, dehacked format. But with the Bex format, it doesn't matter if there's an action on it or not. You can add an action to this, for example. Like, let's say I give it, what am I doing here? We'll give the action Fire BFG, and it'll let you do that. If this was just a regular dehacked file, so .deh as opposed to .bex, you wouldn't be able to do this. You wouldn't be able to add an action to here. So I just wanted to talk about that. So that's pretty cool too. So that is Boom. Now we'll go back to MBF. So we'll look at the MBF features. So MBF had several new features: friendly monsters, including single player helper dogs. Okay, that's not, I mean, I don't know. Friendly monsters is pretty much just like a visual, like an aesthetic thing, or it doesn't really do anything, I guess. Helper dogs, okay. I've never actually used that. I don't even think none of my maps are MBF compatible, and they don't use any MBF features. Bug fixes, such as a fix for the block map limit, okay. A beta mode, okay. This includes the version of the BFG 9000 included in the beta. I haven't used this, but I mean, the BFG is the best weapon in the game, probably in video games in general. I like that it sort of takes some practice to get used to. It's what's the word? There's a bit of a learning curve to using the BFG to its most effective use to sort of maximize your damage. I like that about the BFG, and I feel like anyone who changes how the BFG works is just immediately dead to me. Like, don't do that. What are you even doing? So whenever I see, dehacked files in these folders with WADs that I'm playing, and I see a dehacked file, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And then I figure out that they changed the BFG. It's just like, oh, it's just such a shame. Higher resolution, okay, it means to change the level sky check. Okay, so this is an amazing line diff action here. So apparently this is an MBF line diff action, but it is available in Boom compatibility, at least on Pure Boom Plus and DSDA Doom, because it's just visual. It's just a visual thing. Now, normally in Doom, depending on what sky is shown, it depends on the map number. So if you do the original Doom, so Doom 1, Episode 1 uses one sky, Episode 2 uses another sky, Episode 3 uses another sky, Episode 4 uses another sky. So they each have their own sky depending on the episode number. Doom 2 is a little different because they're all like map 1 to 32. I honestly don't know what the map numbers are, how they relate to the sky. I don't have that memorized. I also don't know where episode 1 ends and episode 2 begins, and same with episode 3. So you're limited in that sense that if you want a certain sky, it has to be on a certain map number. But with this line diff action here, where is it? Here, right here. Yeah, line diff action 271. You can put, I'll just write it here actually. You can have a line diff right here, and you can, okay, let's go here. Apparently you're supposed to put it on the upper texture. So if you put it on, you can use any texture. So let's put Marb Face 2. This is going to be our sky texture. So you can also see that the regular skies are in here. I believe they should be here. Yeah, so there's Sky 1, Sky 2, Sky 3. But you can use any sky texture, or any texture at all, as a sky. So you put it on the upper texture, and then you give it line diff action 271. And that is transfer sky texture to tag sectors. And then you add the sector tag to it. And so you can add sector tag 0 is a sector tag. So this will put slad poise as the sky for all sectors that are tagged 0. And then if you want to have, if you have a lot of outdoor areas, sometimes some of the outdoor areas that have like a sky ceiling, they will have, oh, right, you have to have the sky ceiling as well. I forgot. So I think that's F sky 1, right? There you go. So what this does, the sky transfer texture to tag sectors thing line diffraction does is it uses whatever texture is on the upper side of the texture, and it will use that as a sky texture for whatever the sector tag is. But like I was saying, if you have a lot of outdoor areas that have sky as a ceiling, even on the floor, depending how you make your level, you might have multiple sector tags because you want to, raise or lower a floor or something like that. And so you would have to, add more line diff actions, and you have to specify the tag for each sector tag that you want. And I actually made sort of a template. I think I did 100. I made 100 lines in sort of its own map, and it looked like a smiley face. And whenever I want to use this line diff action, I will just grab that template and input it into my map, and it does it from tag 0 to 99 or something. And so it's very handy. I probably should have uploaded that to It Games, but yeah, this is great. This is an amazing line diff action. You can have multiple skies in the same map. Even you can just change the upper texture on a different line diff that uses a different sector tag, and you can have multiple skies in a map. Not just 2. You can have even more than that. But another really good thing about this is if you have like a community project, or even just like an episode or a megawatt, if you have it in boom format or MBF format, you can each mapper can use this line diff action to specify their sky. So people aren't stuck with a specific sky depending on their map number. They can put their own sky. And so that's really cool. That's a really cool feature. So let's keep going here. Three new dehack thing flags. Okay. The options lump, which allows to set game options such as compatibility, blah, 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 blah. Okay. A detonate, 10 new action code pointers with parameters. So this is just more dehacked stuff. So yeah, I mean, a bunch of it is dehacked stuff. There's not a whole lot that's different from Boom. This is just sort of extra on top of Boom. Okay, so now we'll go back to MBF21. So MBF21 was a continuation of MBF, released in 2021. So MBF was released in 1998. So then, so between MBF and MBF21, we have the Hexen map format. So the Hexen map format, it introduced, I think I already talked about this, it introduced many more line diff actions, and it has sector. Okay, let's just start a new one. I'll just show you. We'll go to ZDoom Doom in Hexen format. Okay, so if we do this, and there's also more checkboxes here. There's arguments. What am I doing here? So, and there's also an activation. You can determine what activates it. So that's pretty cool as well. Way more of these things as well. So this is very similar to the generic line diff actions of Boom. So there's a whole bunch of different things that you can choose. And then if you go into the things, you can go, there we have bridges. I think that's for 3D bridges. I've literally never used that, I don't think. You can use 3D bridges. There are slopes in hexen format. And then sector actions. So stuff like actor hits floor. So that's when the player hits the floor, and then you... Oh, that's another really cool thing about hexen format, is you can have thing tags and thing actions. So let's say you have a cacodemon, not stealth. Stealth is horrible. You just go over here to the effects and you go to the action. You can make it like open a door, let's say. And once the cacodemon dies, it will open up the door. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, so hexen, and another thing that the hexen format did, it raised the limits even further, I believe, compared with with boom format. I feel like. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, it also added scripting, so you can add scripts, which is another extremely powerful tool for mapping. So I mean, here we go. We went from regular Doom format to boom format, which is a huge upgrade. And then we go from boom format to MBF, which is not really a huge upgrade, but sort of MBF is sort of similar to boom anyway. I touched my mic. I just want to see if it's still recording. Yes, it's still recording. Right? Yes. Oh, I'm still... I hope there was no lag. So boom to hexen format, another gigantic leap. And then we go from hexen format to, I believe, UDMF format. So if we go to UDMF, UDMF raises the limits even further. So UDMF, an abbreviation for Universal Doom Map Format, is a specification for laying out maps in a textual way. So basically in a text file. It is essentially a new map format for Doom Engine-based games. The format is not backwards compatible. Okay, the idea for this format was first suggested by Quasar as a universal solution to add unlimited extra information to map elements, so that the wide range of new features in Doom source ports can be better supported by editors and implemented in the map information more easily. Okay, so basically, I think, was it a binary format? So the old map formats were binary formats, and this is a text format, apparently. Anyways, there's like, you can make like gigantic levels with UDMF. In my case, I still haven't even used UDMF. This was released in 2008. I still had, this was almost 20 years ago. I still haven't made a UDMF map. I stick with Doom and Hexen format. I mean, that's fine for me. For the longest time, there was a reason why I still haven't used UDMF. I was using a really old Windows XP computer that from 2002. I used it all the way up until 2019. So, you know, it wasn't a modern computer, and so there was really no reason for me to make gigantic maps because I couldn't, because my computer couldn't handle it. So I was fine with using Doom and Hexen format. I mean, even you can make big maps with Doom and Hexen format too. So I mean, I'm probably going to stick with Doom and Hexen format. Maybe one day I'll try the UDMF format. I don't know. But I don't know if this qualifies as being a huge leap from Hexen format. I'm not sure if it does or not. And then after Hexen format, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about every single one, every single map format. However, and then in 2021 there was MBF21. So I didn't really pay attention to this. Apparently, this was a big community effort. That so MBF21 is a specification and standard specifically aimed at mod authors and mods in general. It builds on top of the possibilities shown in the Boom and MBF source ports. It defines a new compatibility level. I have a hard time saying that word. Comp level 21 to introduce a range of new features that seeks to improve the capabilities available in levels and mods to be implemented in various source ports. MBF21 version 1.0 was finalized on May 30th, 2021. Craft Lab received the special CAC award, or code award, at the CAC Awards. I didn't even know that existed. I don't pay attention to the CAC Awards. In part for conceiving the overall idea of implementing the first version in his DSDA Doom source port. So, I mean, he implemented the first version in his source port. I think he sort of spearheaded this, but there was discussion between the source port authors in order to the best way to implement this, because I believe MBF21 is in various other source ports. I think even GZ Doom, I think it's in that as well. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to this because it's yet another map format that, I mean, all these new map formats, like I said, I haven't even used UDMF. So, I mean, I'm stuck in the olden days. I have no real need for these new map formats. And like I said earlier, I mean, I feel like, you know, they've already done so much for Doom modding already. And now they're just adding whatever else they can think of, even though it might not be super, I don't know what the word is. Like it won't, but yeah, even if people won't actually use it, but it just for the option to be there. So basically programmers, I thought of this little phrase here that I was sort of proud of how I feel about programmers. Programmers have to justify their hobby by endlessly tinkering with shit. Like they can't just make a source port and leave it alone. They have to like endlessly tinker with it, and then update it all the time. And they just can't leave it alone. So in order to justify their hobby, they have to endlessly tinker with it. And I would rather just download a source port and use it. That's what I did with Pyramid Plus. I downloaded a version, whatever it was at the time, and I just used that version the whole time. Even though new versions were released, I just used that version. I did update eventually, but then I didn't update again. And I don't understand this constant updating behavior. That I feel like it's a modern thing. Maybe it's not a modern thing. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not a programmer that I don't understand it. I just want to download something and use it. So that's not a knock on the programmers. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have any source ports. It's just I don't understand that mentality. So I mean, when MBF21 was being developed, I didn't really pay attention because MBF, I'm not even interested in that because it's basically Boom with a couple extra features. So MBF21, it's basically the same thing. So I didn't really pay attention. I didn't even know I won a CAC award, but so we'll do the highlights. So to give an impression of what is possible with the MBF21 specification, we have insta-kill floors. So this is one of those things where, okay, let's add insta-kill floors because, I mean, to be fair, insta-kill floors is a feature that people ask about. Now, okay, insta-kill floors is possible with UDMF and Z hexen format, but it's not possible in the original Doom formats, like with original Doom format, Boom, or MBF. So I guess now it is with this. But I mean, you can fake it. A lot of stuff you can fake or you can hack up in those old formats. And it's even though it won't be insta-kill, it actually depends on the setup. Because certain times it can be insta-kill, like if you were to crush a voodoo doll in a what the hell is that called? You know, not a monster closet. I can't think of the word, but you know, you have a sector outside of the map, and you stick a voodoo doll in it, and then you basically crush it after you walk over a line def, and you can sort of mimic it being an insta-kill floor, depending on how you set it up. Other times it can't, but I mean, there's also you can also just give it a sector effect. It's making a damaging sector. I mean, regular Doom has that in the original Doom. You just make it the most damaging sector effect, and you'll die after a few seconds. So, but they added insta-kill floors. Better generalized line scrolling. Okay, granular control over monster infighting and projectile splash damage susceptibility. E.g., you can make barons and knights infight, or make imps immune to cacodemons and barrels, and all sorts of funky combinations. Okay, so you have more control over monster infighting. There's some fly like flying around right here, and it's really like slow. It's getting it's getting around that time where I guess it's officially fall now. Yeah, I think today is the first day of fall, September 21st. What was I talking about? Yeah, but in classic Doom, you don't have any control over monster infighting. All hit scan enemies, like enemies with guns, they infight with each other and everyone else. And then all the projectile monsters will infight with each other. But like an imp will never fight another imp unless, there's a barrel involved or something like that. So, but normally, like if an imp shoots a fireball and accidentally hits another imp, the other imp isn't going to start fighting that imp because they're immune to that type of infighting. But apparently you have more control over infighting. Honestly, I don't see, that's another thing that I don't really see the point of. I mean, it's a feature of Doom. Just get over it, learn to live with it. Even though, I mean, there are some people who complain about this. I mean, a lot of people do complain about this, but I feel like those kind of people are just more into making gameplay mods and that sort of thing. I feel like that's what a lot of these new mapping formats are designed for. They're designed for people who make gameplay mods. They're not designed for mappers, because there's a lot of dehacked stuff and this sort of stuff too. And then so the new actor flags exposing a whole ton of previously hard-coded actor behaviors, splash damage immunity. So there's more, that sort of stuff, plus a few new things like Ripper projectiles and low gravity. So new actor flag. So that's okay. A new actor flag. So I wonder if that exists when you like right here. Does one of those flags go to here, or is this just for new monsters? I'm not sure. I've never used MBF21. But I mean, this is, it's like you're trying to get all Z doomy with your boom. I mean, why not just keep them separate? Weapon flags make your weapon silent. Once again, I don't really see the point of that. A proper ammo per shot field for all weapons, not just the BFG. So BFG takes 40 shots. All other weapons take 1 shot, except for, actually, obviously the double barrel shotgun takes 2 shots, but also I think the chain gun also takes 2 shots. Like if you press fire, if you just tap it, I think it shoots twice. I feel like that's true. A lot of new dehacked code pointers with up to 8 customizable ARGs. This allows mods to feature custom weapons and monsters easily. Yeah, so that's a lot of more dehack stuff. Bug fixes and compatibility options. Fixes for 3 key doors. I didn't know there was a bug for there. Working generalized crushers. So like I said, in the Boom generalized line of actions, if you remember back in that point of the video, you could control the crushers, but apparently those didn't work. So you had to use the default Doom 2 format crushers in order to have crushers. I guess this was a bug. Ability to disable Boom's pushing monsters off ledges behavior. This is actually pretty cool because I do not like this behavior. That is probably the biggest turnoff of why I would make me decide if I want to make a Boom map or not. Because in regular Doom 2 or regular Doom format, say you have a monster on a ledge or like on a pedestal or something, and or like a pillar, you shoot it, it won't fall off the pillar, even if the line defs around the monster aren't set for block monster. So on like platforms and pillars and stuff, you can't shoot monsters off of the platforms and pillars in regular Doom format. But with Boom, you can shoot them off of those. But the really annoying part is if you're shooting the monster and then it starts to go off, it can actually get stuck on the side, and it often does get stuck on the side, and it'll be stuck and it won't be shooting. And so that's the big sort of negative aspect of that behavior. So I mean, it is cool that you can disable that, but if I were to disable it, I'd just map in regular Doom format. So detailed features, apparently there is no detailed features. So those are the features of MBF21. Honestly, this isn't enough to make me want to use it. And then we're going to go back to what we're actually talking about, ID24. If you remember, this is an ID24 video. Oh, okay. So this is the last thing we're going to talk about. Now, like I said, going from Boom to regular Doom, that was a big update. There was a lot of new features in Boom, and then going to Hexen from Boom, there was a lot of extra features in that as well. And then you get into UDMF. I don't even know if that was that much of a difference from Hexen, but I feel like after Hexen format, I mean, it hasn't been such a big leap. But I guess you can't really leap as much as you can. But we'll go to the features for ID24. So we have several new things, including new monsters and props, internally defined with ID24 hacked features. Okay. The new things are, I think there are a few monsters and 2 new weapons. Apparently there are new props as well. Now, the thing about this Legacy of Rust episode is with it comes with two new weapons, and the new weapons overwrite the plasma gun and the BFG. So automatically you get a thumbs down from me for overwriting the BFG. Why would I want to play the episode if it overwrites the BFG? And I have seen videos where it shows you how the BFG behaves, and it is different, and I don't like that. I don't like a different BFG. So, and then we have several new control lumps using JSON format. These include notably demo loop to define custom demo loops, which was previously a hard-coded feature. Yeah. So you load a WAD file into your source port, and you just let it play, and it'll show like the title pick, and it'll have the title music. Fucking fly. And then after after 10 seconds or something, if you've ever loaded a WAD in a source port, you know exactly what happens. Or if you played the original game, after like 10 seconds, it'll automatically go into the in-game demo. So, but apparently this demo loop allows you to define a custom demo. This is another like, what is the point feature? Because if you want to just change the demo, just like add a new demo, or I don't know. I mean, who loads a WAD and just sits there and watches it? I mean, I guess this allows you to do that, but I mean, people download WAD so they can play it. So I don't see the point of this. This is just one of those things where a programmer thought, okay, I can do this. And then they did that, even though, why did you bother doing that? I mean, it's like a lot of it seems like, what's the point to me, in my opinion? So it brings it back to my comment about how programmers have to justify their hobby by endlessly tinkering with shit. And I feel like that's one of those tinkers. Gain conf to define general information about a WAD file. I mean, just put that in a text file. I don't understand. Also, I think it would automatically change the settings in your source port if something's ID24 compatible, based on what's in this file, right? I feel like I'd rather let the player change the configuration rather than the WAD doing it for me. SBAR def to define status bars. This is literally pointless in my case because I don't use the status bar. I use a HUD. Like this guy even is using a HUD. I'm not going to watch this video because it's got some music that I think YouTube might give me a copyright notice for, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I literally don't use, if you watched any of my other videos, like where I play through the id Games WADs, I play with PRBin Plus and I use the HUD. I don't use the status bar. I mean, you can already change the status bar. Maybe this allows you to change like how the status bar looks. Like maybe you can stack things differently. I don't know. Maybe this is considered the status bar and not a HUD, but I don't know, man. This is another one of those what's the point type of things for me. One of those customizations that I personally don't find useful. Sky defs to define skies. Okay, so apparently there's yeah, I think we can talk about this later. Sky defs to define skies. So what is sky defs? Is a lump, okay. Similar to comp level, there are multiple different, okay, JSON lump details. Specification, sky rendering, okay. Only one left. Default skies. Okay, come on, I'm not going to read all this. Okay, so basically you can change how the skies look. Okay, but I mean, it's just a sky. If you want to, if you care that much about skies, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just a sky. People are going to be playing your level. They're not just going to be sitting there looking at your level. Though some people will. I feel like a lot of people who really care about how their map looks, they just, that's what they do. They like look at it, they take screenshots, and that's what's important for their map. Uses the UMap info standard with some new additions, such as the ability to define intermission scripts with the enter anim and exit anim properties. So using lumps in JSON format. Okay, to define intermission scripts with the enter, okay, I'm not sure exactly what that means. Mapping additions, ID24 has implemented a few new features in line specials for use by mappers. Okay, do they tell you? I'm not sure if they tell you. Implement a few new features in line specials. Okay, maybe they'll tell you about it here. The ID24 map additions are a superset of the following specifications. Vanilla Doom, yes, we talked about that. Boom, we talked about that. MUS info, I guess that lets you, yeah. So this gives the music lump. So I guess you can have multiple music lumps, and you can switch between music in one map if you have some type of thing. If you walk, yeah, music changer thing. Okay, I think I've used that once, to be honest. MBF, we looked at that. DEH extra, that's a dehacked thing. MBF21. DSD hacked, that's another dehacked thing. UMap info is like map info for ZDoom, where you could type the title of the map, the next map, the sky texture, and some other stuff as well. Reserved indices for line specials. Okay, so I guess it'll add new line specials. Eventually, I don't know if this is... Okay, so the following line special index ranges are reserved for future use by id Software and or its affiliates. Okay, so that was another part of the controversy, actually, because they reserved, id Software reserved a range of line def special numbers in this map format for use in their commercial products. I just said product again. Products. So if they come out with another new megawatt or something, and they want to charge money for it, and it uses the ID24 standard, they can add some new line def actions, and they'll use them in between these numbers. And I don't really know why people care about that so much. I mean, that was part of the controversy, but I don't understand. Like, who cares? How many fucking numbers do people need? I don't get it. But I guess the reason was that there was a range of numbers that were dedicated to a commercial product that's in a map format that's used for like hobby source ports. That's used in hobby source ports. So it's like you're mixing up commercial and hobby. Is that what people are mad about? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you know. This is easily testable. I don't really care. More long UMap info additions, don't care. Any texture. So this was another thing that was added sort of recently. This was another thing that I didn't really care about. I mean, if you want to use map info, make a ZDoom map. I mean, because you can do with UMap info. UMap info is map info itself was only available in, I believe, ZDoom format, source ports, and then maybe something else as well, but like Boom format, source ports, MBF, regular Doom, map info was not available for that. And then but stuff that map info you're able to set map info. You were able to set in like Boom, MBF, and regular Doom. You just had to do it in a different way. And even in UMap info, I'm not sure exactly, but I feel like there aren't as many options for UMap info compared with regular map info or ZMap info in ZDoom format ports. So, I mean, I feel like you could just get by without needing UMap info in like a Boom compatible map. Any texture and flat can be used on any surface. Okay, so normally in Doom format, Boom format, MBF format, there are flats, so basically ceiling and floors, textures on the ceiling and floor. They're called flats, they're not called textures. And then there are textures that you use on walls. And normally in, regular Doom format, and Boom and MBF, you can't use a flat on a wall, and you can't use a texture on a floor or a ceiling. And apparently with ID24, you are allowed to do those things. But I mean, you can do this in the original, in those older formats. You would just have to import new floors as the textures and new textures as the floors. So I mean, it's possible. But I mean, and also all the floors are 64 by 64 pixels, so they might not look very good on walls. They might, there'd be a lot of tiling, but I guess this gives you the option to do that if you want. Floor and ceiling texture transformations. These are now, there are now line specials to offset floor and ceiling textures. Okay, so normally the floor and ceilings will line up depending on the X and Y coordinates of, like, so here. So you can see the grid here. So it'll line up with the grid. So this is a 32 by 32 grid. So the reds are 64 by 64, and then half of them are 32. And so if you have a 64 by 64 flat, it will show up here. And if you put it like right here, it'll be offset because it's offset. The sector itself is offset. So like the flat will tile based on the coordinates, the X and Y coordinates. So apparently you can change that with ID24. Music changing, music line specials. Apparently you no longer are required to use map MUS info to change the current music track. Okay, apparently you have more control over the music, but I mean, just have a good song. I guess if you want to have a boss fight, you can change the music, whatever. I mean, you can have more control, I guess. Reset exit lines are provided that reset the player's inventory after exiting a map. Okay, you can already do this. They say this, actually. This removes the requirements for death exits to do such things. I mean, but just use the death exit. It achieves the same thing. And also allows a cleaner way of handling such setups as Eve Eternity's secret maps, rewarding the player with not resetting their inventory on entering map 16, i.e. okay, whatever. But I mean, you can still do, you can use death exits in like regular Doom format maps, and Boom format maps, and MBF format maps. So this is kind of, what's the point-ish. Sector tinting, yeah, I mean, you can change the color of sectors, who cares. Scrolling textures, I mean, you can already scroll textures. I guess this changes the amount of scrolling. Maybe you have more control over the type of scrolling. Here are your new monsters. You have 6 new monsters. All right. Yeah, so there's your ID24 standard. So is that really deserving of having a completely new standard? Was there so many? I mean, does any of this interest me? I don't think so. There was one thing that did interest me. Where were the skies? Yeah, I'll go back to sky defs, because we didn't really talk about the skies a lot. So there are different types of skies. I'm not going to read all this. Sky textures and flats. Texture declared for a sky must be found. Okay. Sky types. Okay, here we got sky types. So normals, this is a regular sky. Fire sky, the fire effect is seen in PlayStation Doom / Doom 64. By the way, I saw this in the in the where? In the ID24. Where are we here? Sky Defs, yeah. Right, yeah, in this video right here. It did show that in this. I also saw another video where I was talking about the new, it was a Legacy of Rust video, the new plasma gun and the new BFG. I was watching a couple demonstration videos, and it showed the fire sky, and it looked it looked horrible. It looked very pixelated. I don't understand what the point of it is. I mean, it does animate, but it didn't look good at all. I don't understand. I mean, you could just use a sky transfer, make it an animated sky transfer. Look way better than that, right? Unless I'm just missing something. And then you can have with foreground, so hexen style skies apparently. I feel like Quake also had these type of skies. So where a foreground sky is rendered on top of a background sky and using palette index 0 to indicate 100%. Once again, my nose is super itchy. Transparent foreground texel. Okay, so I'm picturing the Quake sky because I saw this sky in one of those other videos I watched as well. And it did look really nice. So I guess if you want to use this ID24 specifically for this type of sky, I guess you could. But I mean, who knows if source port authors are going to be implementing this? I mean, they could implement specific parts of the standard, not necessarily do all of it. So I know GraphSol didn't like any of the dehacked stuff. So ZDoom has, or GZDoom, they have their own sort of dehacked format. It's called Decorate, and I feel like it's much more straightforward than dehacked. Dehacked is really only still around because of the old map formats, because dehacked is compatible with those old map formats. So I don't even know if it's possible to implement Decorate into an old map format. No, you can't, because it wouldn't be, well, I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be demo compatible anymore, right? So I think that's the reason people still use dehacked, is to maintain compatibility with demos and stuff with those old map formats. But yeah, I'm thinking of the Quake sky. I feel like it has clouds that are moving over top of like a background color. Is it pink or something? Like a pale pink or something like that? Or purple. I'm picturing the entrance level for Quake, where you start and then you can look directly up. You can see that cool sky. But I wonder if it's the same as Hexen style skies. Now, Quake was released in '96. When was Hexen released? I honestly don't know. Was it before? It must have been before Quake, right? Because Quake looked way better than Hexen. So Heretic was released, and then Hexen was released, right? And then Quake was released after that, maybe? Sky parameters. Yeah, I mean, so you do have a lot of control over your skies. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with ID24, but like the vast majority of it, in my opinion, I don't find it useful for myself and for my own mapping. But whether other people would use it, I don't know. But it seems like it's not going to pop up in DSDA Doom now. So there are a bunch of other classic style Doom ports, source ports. I don't know if, honestly, I don't think any of the other source port authors have weighed in on this issue, besides the ZDoom, the GZDoom devs, and the DSDA dev. I'm not sure if anyone else has. I think, like, there are, I guess there are more popular source ports than others, so it's possible that I missed it. If I did, I apologize, but so I don't know if this stuff is going to get implemented or not. But it was kind of funny. I mean, if you really want, you can read this thread. It's kind of crazy. I had no reason. Well, I think I was banned by this time, so I was just reading it. but I don't really see the point. However, one of the cool things about the ID24 standard is it gave us this very funny post by Sexy Buzzrack. So I'm going to try and read it here. It's going to be hard because I'm not the best reader, but I'm going to try here. Okay. So this is trying to psych people up for ID24. So this is what people who were involved with ID24 and people who are basically, no, not people who are involved, but this is the people who are interested in ID24. This is how they're acting. So, oh my God, dude, you'll never believe what just happened. No, my wife isn't pregnant with Deshaun's child again. id Software released a new version of Doom and it has more features. It's like a new comp level, just like MBF21, which also brought a lot of new features. In fact, it's based on MBF21, but it adds even more features. They extended Dehacked even more. Dude, we already talked about this. No, they couldn't just add Decorate because that's outdated. Besides, Graf Saul is behind Decorate, and he's like a Nazi or something. He misgendered someone's non-binary service dog a few years ago. Well, the dog didn't identify as non-binary at the time, but nevertheless. Oh, and dude, you can put flats on walls and vice versa now. Yes, it's trivial to add new textures in one, and no one needs 64 by 64 wall textures anyway. But dude, it's such a long-awaited feature in 2024, the current year. It's like the bare minimum. But what's a first in the community? In the community is that the standard in the new features within was developed in cooperation with long-standing Doom community members. This was done to ensure people of all genders and races worked on it and incorporated their lived experiences. Literally, Zazer and Gooberman are behind the standard. Who are they? Yeah, neither of them made anything relevant in 20 years, but they added so many features, my guy. Oh, and dude, it adds new weapons and monsters. Yes, anyone can just make them themselves and Dehacked, and they require a new proprietary resource pack that costs money. But dude, come on, the game is 30 years old and it needs updates. The humor in the original game is so problematic from today's standpoint. A lot of people don't like it for some reason, but SO4TM says it's fine and not to worry. And honestly, I didn't follow that closely because I was too preoccupied with testing the new features. Yeah, dude. And I didn't even mention there's a new expansion called Legacy of Rust. What kind of name is that? Yeah, I don't like it either. Legacy has some problematic colonialist undertones, and Rust could be associated with heavy industry, and the people who work there aren't very good people. One time a factory worker yelled at me while I was in the supermarket in my furry suit. Can you believe that? There are people in 2024, the current year, who police other people's identities. You'd think we moved from that ages ago. Oh, and dude, there's a new special line defaction that mandates pistol start in the next level. Yes, that takes away any sense of continuity in the game, but if you're even slightly good at gaming, that shouldn't be a problem for you. Besides, it'll be great for projects made by our large and diverse phone rings. Hello? Yes, darling? What? Of course you can go on a Tinder date tonight. Oh, you weren't asking for my permission. Yes, of course. I promise to never restrict your right to explore your sexuality. Is he black? Oh, that's great. I'll set up the camera in your room while you're on the date. Okay, honey. Enjoy your Wife hangs up. Love you. Yikes, dude. Sorry, I need to set up the camera in my wife's room for her date tonight. It's going to be so absolutely epic. Anyway, catch you later. We can maybe grab a beer tomorrow and play deathmatch in UDMF at my place. I'll text you.